and get that up on the board. And yeah, a lot of big wrestling news this week. I actually like your podcast always keeps me informed, but I have to say I watched more wrestling promos and stuff leading up to this big WrestleMania announcement, and then after, obviously the fallout. And what a smart idea to free to the public, but also in Vegas the week of the Super Bowl when so many people were, from the press were there covering football, but many people took the day to go over and have the conversation. And so tell people if people don't know the news that came out of that event and the fallout, and there's also other wrestling news that you want to let people know about.
So what happened was the Friday before the press of the kickoff event that happened in Vegas for WrestleMania, uh, Cody Rhodes was going to make his decision to challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Unfortunately, they made a booking decision, which was not the best booking decision, to say for Rhodes to go out and say that he wasn't going to finish the story at WrestleMania, and had The Rock come out and go pretty much face to face with Roman Reigns, which has been a dream match for a lot of wrestling fans for years. But it caused a major backlash online of people not liking the fact that they built this whole finish the story angle since last year's WrestleMania, where Cody didn't win against Roman Reigns thanks to interference from the bloodline. And so there was a lot of backlash, a lot of this, a lot of that. And so that at that press event, that's when I guess they pivoted and decided to do a full 180 and have Cody still challenge Roman for that championship, but now The Rock is involved in it. So now what we're looking at over the next less than 60 days or so is how The Rock will be involved in this matchup, whether he'll be a special referee or whether it'll be a triple threat. Right now, it looks like he's aligned with Roman Reigns because of some comments that Cody made about their family during that press event. So there's a possibility that it could be a triple threat angle or something, or it could be a tag match. We don't know what the angle is right now, but apparently there's going to be some kind of confrontation with The Rock and Roman Reigns on SmackDown this Friday, which and Sip mentioned this on the podcast we recorded earlier, which will go up on Tuesday evening. That what did he say? What the heck did he say? Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot what he said. Oh no, yeah. This Friday's on SmackDown. This Friday, SmackDown's gonna be in Salt Lake City, and they're gonna get a double taping of SmackDown because they're gonna have the live SmackDown that'll go on Fox, and then they're gonna tape next week's episode because all of the talent are flying out to Australia because next weekend is Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia. It'll only be the third time in company history. I think second or third time in company history they'll do a premium live event in Australia. And so,
How does that work, champ? Where you're filming the following week SmackDown, but people don't leak the results of that?
oh, they get leaked.
Yeah.
A lot of wrestling news sites will put out spoilers, but they do give a prep. They do preface that they are spoilers and that anybody who chooses to read them, it's their own fault if they read them and stuff like that. And so, no, trust me, it gets out there. It gets out there. That was a thing even before, even before the internet became a really big thing. Where back in the day, Monday Night Raw used to actually be taped on the Tuesday before it aired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the results for Raw were already out there before it aired on Mondays, before they finally decided to just start going live with Raw. And SmackDown, before it started to go live, used to be taped on Tuesdays. So trust me, this was a thing even before now. But yeah, it'll most likely be out there, but it's a wrestling fan's due diligence to not go and seek it out.
Yeah.
Right? That's their due diligence. Like me, I don't seek out spoilers. I don't. I stopped doing that. I stopped seeking out spoilers because I want to be able to watch it with a clear and open mind, especially because I do a podcast where I review these type of shows. So it doesn't help already knowing what's going to happen, because then I can't give my true thoughts on it, because it's like I already knew what was going to happen, you know?
Mm-hmm. That makes
But
sense.
but yeah, but that's one of the big stories. The other story, which I mentioned to you when I was at your house yesterday, or on Sunday, um, is that there's more that's coming out of this whole Vince McMahon lawsuit that was brought on against him by Janelle Grant. And by the way, for those listening, this is a bit of a trigger warning, that Vince McMahon is being sued for sex trafficking and sexual assault by a former WWE employee. Another tidbit came out courtesy of John Laurinaitis' lawyer. John Laurinaitis was the former head of talent relations for the company, who also had to be let go because he was part of the original allegation that came out in 2022 that led to 2022 that led to Vince McMahon resigning originally. He said that there was an incident that happened back a few years ago with talent known by Ashley Mazzaro, who's no longer with us. She actually killed herself a few years ago. She and a lot of the talent went over to Kuwait for the Tribute to the Troops show. And while she was in Kuwait, she was actually sexually assaulted by some soldiers on base. And the company itself tried to cover it up and then denied that they even knew anything about it. But Laurinaitis' lawyer came out just this past week and said, yes, the company knew all about it, but publicly denied it, which was an absolutely disgusting thing to hear about. That this young lady had that happen to her on foreign soil by members of our armed forces, and nothing was done about it. And then what makes it even worse is that um, Ashley Mazzara, and some of this was actually released by Vice News, that she actually was being pursued sexually by Vince McMahon. He was trying to get her to his hotel room to have relations, and she called I think she called Bruce Pritchard, and I think he told her to tell him that she wasn't feeling well, to try to avoid it. And he ended up retaliating against her by taking control of writing her promos, and writing promos that would have got her career or ended. She had one promo that was written by him that she took to Michael Hayes, who, if anybody who's a wrestling fan knows that name, Michael Hayes, part of the legendary Fabulous Freebirds tag team. Um, and even he was like, what the F is this? Who wrote this? And when she told him that it was Vince that wrote it, he basically gave her the dims the brakes kid type of thing. Like his demeanor totally changed when he found out that it was Vince that wrote it, because of course Vince is the boss, was the boss at that time. Um, so this young lady really went through hell towards the end of her tenure with WWE. And again, unfortunately, a couple of years after her release from WWE, she did unfortunately end her own life. And so she left this world feeling like the very company that she tried to be a part of basically did not protect her. And I voiced my displeasures about that during my final thoughts in the podcast that's going up on Tuesday, because it's the very culture that was exposed back in 2020 with the speaking out movement. That was the darkest part of the professional wrestling lexicon. And even though it was put out there for the world to see and to hear, now 4 years almost 4 years later, we're still seeing that dark side still be prevalent and still be a thing. And it's just it's just really sad to see. Really, really sad. The other story that's been huge on the internet is that TNA Wrestling just fired their president, Scott D'Amore, who's been a part of that organization since the very beginning back in 2003. The report is that he's been demanding and asking for their budget to be increased by Anthem Sports, who's the parent company, but they haven't acquiesced to that, which is causing them to continue to do shows in smaller venues and not really provide the proper compensation for the performers and stuff like that. And now he's been let go. And now an Anthem president, someone who's already the president of the parent company, is now going to be the president of the wrestling promotion that's under them. And one of the things that we talked about on the podcast is our fear of TNA regressing because of this change. Because Scott D'Amore has a wrestling mind, he has a mind for the business, he has a mind for the processes. And the fear is that having somebody in at the helm of a wrestling company who doesn't have that same mindset could be detrimental to that brand, because they are basically trying to fight to be the third biggest brand in terms of wrestling in the United States. And making a move like this could be very detrimental to them, especially coming about a month after rebranding from Impact Wrestling back to TNA. It's going to be very, very, very. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them going forward. One of the reports that came out said that they wanted the budget increase because they wanted to bring in Braun Strowman. This was after Braun Strowman was released back in, I believe, 2021. But they said that his asking price was way too high and they just didn't have the money for it. And so he didn't pursue it. And that's when he ended up going back to WWE. And he's been there ever since, though he's currently out recovering from neck fusion surgery. But TNA is in a very interesting spot right now, making that change and having to work towards that. A lot of talent were very upset on Zoom calls after the announcement, and a lot of them were looking to get out of their contracts, including the current TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose, who was highly upset about that as well, and rightfully so, because he was considered, Scott D'Amore was the heart and soul of TNA. So it was a very, very noteworthy news week for wrestling in general. Um, Also because of the fact that Kazuchika Okada is finishing up his time in New Japan, where he spent most of his wrestling career there. Same with Will Ospreay finishing up his 8 years in New Japan. His final match was Sunday in a vicious dog pound cage match that was the main event in Osaka that went 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 5 seconds. One of the longest non-championship matches in New Japan history. Okada still has 2 more dates to fulfill before his time is done, and it's going to be a multi-man match. He had his final singles match in New Japan against Tanahashi, which he was victorious in Osaka, and things like that. And the reports and the expectation is that Okada is going to AEW. He's going to join AEW, and there's also a report that Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks, is going to join AEW when they go to Boston in March. So a lot has happened wrestling news wise this week, and it's only going to be more and more intense, especially with the road to WrestleMania, all the free agencies and things of that nature. So it's great, and like I was telling you last night, Robbie, because this is what, all this noteworthy wrestling news is what makes my podcast interesting and gives me stuff to talk about, because if not, I wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy that it's all coming at the same time. I do wonder, listening about the TNA stuff, is there like a wrestling mind out there that may have been let go by some of the other brands that you could see maybe going there and helping them lead stuff? Or is there somebody maybe inside the market, that's already a TNA superstar that could step up and not necessarily be in charge of it, but almost be like a deputy to that person who doesn't know as much about wrestling, to try to bring it back to where it needs to be?
Well, one thing I know is that the booking structure for TNA hasn't changed. So at least when it comes to the on-screen product, there shouldn't be much of a change. The reasoning behind the change was so that Anthem apparently wants to be more integrated with TNA and stuff like that, which I don't know how viable that is or how true that is, but I don't see them going and getting a wrestling person to fill that role. They've already filled the role with somebody that's within their organization already, and things like that. But I think that they're looking for a way to market it more, because the problem is TNA, when it comes to television, they're on a network that not a lot of people have, which is Access TV. Like, if like, for example, if you're an Xfinity customer, you can't watch TNA wrestling because Xfinity doesn't carry Access TV. That's why me and Sif had to get We had to get Ultimate Insider subscriptions to be able to cover TNA wrestling because we don't have Access TV because Xfinity doesn't carry it. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of cable operators around the country that don't carry Xfinity TV, don't carry Access TV. So there's not a lot of eyes on Impact Wrestling unless you go on YouTube and become an insider or an Ultimate Insider for their YouTube channel. And so that's I'm pretty sure that that's probably one of the reasons why they're making the move is probably that, but who knows? But at the same time, who knows? Because Anthem is Access TV is their channel, you know. So I doubt that they're going to want to take TNA from their own channel if they own the promotion.
Interesting. I was curious to see if YouTube TV has it, and it does not. So
No, it's regular YouTube.
no, I know, but I was wondering if like I have YouTube TV, so I was wondering if that channel
Oh,
it was on it, and it says it's not. It's basically only on Direct TV, it seems. Let's see.
yeah. It's on well, Access TV is on Direct TV and it's also on Verizon. It's on Verizon cable. You know, if you have a Verizon and stuff like that, it's on there. Because when I was living in Reston, I was able to record it because we have Verizon in our apartment condo, and I was able to record it from Access TV. I actually like having it on YouTube because it skips all the
So I have
commercials.
to say that was true when you were there. It left on December 27th, 2023.
Well, shit. I'm glad I moved when I did, because
Yeah,
then I would have still had to get the YouTube anyway.
yeah. So
But
anyway, just thought that
I
was
like it. I like it on YouTube because it skips all the commercials. I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about skipping through commercials. I don't have to worry about I just get the show. Period.
does and it airs it after the fact, so that way you have to watch it on Access
Mm-mm,
first. No, same.
mm-mm. No, it streams. They stream it live on YouTube, but I watch it on demand afterwards. I don't watch it live stream. I
All
watch
right,
it on demand
but you said that you
afterwards.
could also watch it on Access TV's regular channel too, right? Like
Yeah,
on
it airs on Access TV, but it also streams live on YouTube as well.
yeah, I was just curious what they do during the commercial breaks then.
On YouTube, I don't know what they do with the live stream, but I know that on demand, I can
Oh,
watch it straight. I can watch it straight
maybe
through.
that's
There's no commercials. I watch it straight through. I don't have to skip commercials. It's just like when they say we're going to commercial break, it comes literally back to the action. And when they go picture in picture with a commercial, we get actual live action with commentary. So I don't know what they do with the live streams because, like I said, I don't watch them live, but I know on demand they're this commercial free.
got it. All right. Well, I think we'll probably leave it there, unless there's any final thoughts you have before I end the audio podcast. I actually did it on the True Radio Network page because when I tried to log into Facebook, it wouldn't let me do it on the Sports on the Hill one. So at least there's some life to our True Radio Network page, which both of our shows are carried by the True Radio Network. So I guess that's good that we have some new content up there.
Yep.
And but yeah, everyone go and check out Champ's great show. I'll do Champ's Command one more time. But obviously go check out True No Spots Pod over at twitch.tv. Go to sportsothp.com, click the podcast partners button, and you can get all three of the podcasts that were featured tonight. The No Spots podcast, the Not Bland show, and then also the Power Play Point podcast. So I appreciate all of you guys for being a part of this podcast network that we've kind of created and part of the True Radio Network Brotherhood. And it's fun to be able to catch a live football game again with you, Champ. And yeah, let people know your final thoughts before I let you go.
I will say this for anybody out there that is a wrestling fan, if you want to see the combination of Japanese strong style and Mexican lucha libre, I would get a New Japan World subscription this week and pay attention to New Japan World because right now New Japan is in the midst of its Fantastica Mania tour, which is a joint run tour of New Japan and CMLL, where you get to see some of the athletes from New Japan Pro Wrestling mix it up with some of the stars from CMLL. It's a really unique tour. It's a very unique atmosphere where they have not only the Japanese ring announcers there, but also the CMLL ring announcer doing introductions. So you get the feel of what it's like to be in Arena Mexico, and things of that nature. It's something that you, if you're a wrestling fan, you want to experience. I've gotten to see Fantastica Mania for the last couple of years in Japan, and again, it's a very unique experience. It's an experience you want to check out. So make sure, if you want to get that experience, get a subscription to New Japan World and check out Fantastica Mania this upcoming for the next week. It's basically going to be a bridge to the end of the New Beginning tour, which is going to end in Sapporo on February the 23rd and 24th, which will see the final two matches of Okada's career in New Japan, as well as the final match of Tama Tonga's career, and was going to see the end of faction warfare between two of the most popular factions in New Japan, two of the most popular factions in New Japan, Just Five Guys and Los Ingobernables de Japón. There's going to be 5 singles matches that'll close out the tour in Sapporo between LIJ and Just Five Guys, which will culminate with Sonata, who's the leader of Just Five Guys, against the leader of LIJ, Tetsuya Naito, for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So it's a really good time to become a New Japan fan. It's with that going on at Fantastica Mania, plus New Japan Cup will start in March, as well as the anniversary show, which will take place in early March, which will see the return of the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion going up against the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, which has been a tradition for that show for the longest time. It didn't happen last year, but this year we will see that matchup once again take place. So it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And even if you're a new wrestling fan, it's a great time to be a new wrestling fan, because you get to learn a lot and things of that nature. Make sure you check out the No Spots podcast. We're here to help you to figure out, the ins and outs of being a wrestling fan. This next episode we got coming up, episode 232, Sith and I are going to lay out our 10 pay-per-views that we will never watch ever again. So that'll be a good, helpful guide for you guys, for new wrestling fans, to know what pay-per-views to avoid watching because of how bad they were. So make sure you tune in. We will stream it live Sunday evening on twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod, with the audio going up on Spotify and Amazon Music on Monday. Episode 231 will go up on Tuesday evening.
Nice. I hope that everyone's able to tune in for all of that. Next week, we will be back with our hockey talk for the first hour. And then I may have Champ come back on and talk a little wrestling and possibly a little Wizards if they win a game. But mostly wrestling and maybe just life. And I also might give him a week off in the next couple of weeks if he wants one as well.
I don't.
You know, then you can feel free to talk wrestling with me and basketball, and we'll talk a little lead up to March Madness, and then the spring football season is coming soon, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. But next week will be a fun podcast, heavy on the hockey, little bit on some other sports, and then I'll probably do either a video editing stream or an emote making stream after that for people live on Twitch, and funny enough, I thought tonight would be a short show, and here we are at 2 hours and 45 minutes. But thank you everyone for tuning in on this special OV on Fire and Super Bowl 58 recap episode. Let's go Caps. Let's go Wizards. We will be back next week. And thank you for tuning in live on Facebook on the on the True Radio Network Facebook page. And we will also live on Twitch, and I'll put these up on our YouTube in the next couple of days as well. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Okigenyo. Sayonara.
Recording stopped.
All right, I think we are out on Facebook and we are out on the recording. Thank you so much, Champ. I am Trying to decide what I want to do for who to raid. I think I'm gonna go raid my good friend KR Acoustic. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done that. Let me just see if he is available for the raid. Looks like that he is there. Um, so yeah, we're gonna go hang out there for our post podcast hangout. Thank you as always, champ, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Take care.
All right, everyone, grab a raid call or a sub raid call if you are one of those. And yeah, we're gonna raid over to KR Acoustic right now. If you raid KR Acoustic, there we go. It is intended for a mature audience. I will also do the Who Is command for people who don't know who KR is. If you get left behind, you can click on that button again. Grab the raid call. Love to see you support our good friend. We're going to head over there now. Have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you next week.